welcome back to the Garden of Epiphany, a women's health and wellness oasis. I'm your host, Raven Epiphany, and I'm so glad you decided to join us for another video. So if you've been watching, you know we've been in our Cleaner Living series, one where we're talking about giving up harsh chemicals to choose more healthy, clean, green products that are better for our bodies, safer for our bodies. So today we are continuing that series and we are going to talk about our hair, one of my favorite topics in general. I love doing hair. I grew up, wanting to be a cosmetologist, and as you can see, I definitely take pride in my curls. But that's not what we're talking about today. This is not going to be one of those natural hair videos. This is also not going to be one of those videos where I tell you, the cliche, love your hair, don't wear your weave, whatever else. But I am here to give you the rundown on chemical hair products, specifically chemical straighteners known as relaxers, which I like to call the creamy crack. So basically, these are products that, like I said, chemically straighten your hair. You can straighten your hair with a flat iron, blow dryer, etc. Those are all temporary. The chemical straighteners are meant to be more long-term / permanent options. And so if you still get relaxers, if you are still, giving relaxers, if you are a, hairstylist, don't click off yet. Hear all the details and rock it out with me till the end, and then you can make a decision from there. So first, I wanted to address the beauty standard that even led us to using, chemical straighteners in the first place. The times that are now have not always been. So essentially where our natural hair, our curls, our coils, our kinks, 4C, 3C, whatever C you got going on, was not always embraced in every space. And even today, there are still spaces where, women with curly hair, thicker, more coarse hair are still being policed on, what is professional, what's acceptable, etc. Thankfully, we have moved into a time where our natural hair is becoming more not only accepted, but praised in many situations. I know just the other day, I was super excited just to see some good sis rocking her fro on the news. And I was like, wow, we have come a long way, because there was a time when it was cut, copy and paste for everyone, essentially. Black, white, brown, curly hair, straight hair, it all needed to look the same when you were on the news. So I was super excited to see that. And so we have grown, from a previous time, but we also have to, keep in mind that there's still certain professional spaces that still present this challenge to those who have, curlier, kinkier hair. And, even the fact that we even need something like the Crown Act, which is a California law that essentially prohibits discrimination on the basis of hair texture. I mean, the fact that we still need that today says that clearly we are moving, in the right direction, but there are still some challenges. So before I go into this video and share all of the actual, details of the science, I wanted to make sure that I address the actual, social aspects that impact our decisions to even, seek out chemical products such as relaxers. I'm not going to pretend going natural isn't a process that's going to take some effort. I'm not going to pretend that getting a relaxer doesn't make it easier for some people, especially those who are not hair inclined, who don't love doing their hair all the time. But like I said, the goal here is to give you the facts so you can make a decision based off of what's best for your health, and then go from there and figure out how to navigate, with whatever decision that you make. Definitely pulled information from different areas, and so I'm going to share that with you today. Again, I want you to make the best decision for you, but I'm going to let you know right now that the Garden of Epiphany definitely, is biased in this topic, as you will see as we go on. At the end of 2022, at least 6 hair relaxer lawsuits were filed, 3 of them being related to uterine cancer, 3 of them being related to uterine fibroids. More lawsuits were filed even up to this week, y'all, as I was, wrapping up my notes for this video. And these were related to endometrial carcinoma, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, and uterine fibroids. So we're not talking about some light work things here. These are, the real deal. So yikes. I do want to say, like I said, alluded to earlier, this, platform is a bit biased because we are a health and wellness platform. And so I definitely say that anything that is proposed to transform something away from the way that God created it should at least be investigated skeptically, right? So the thought of taking our kinky curly hair and using chemicals to permanently straighten it should at least cause you to raise an eyebrow and say, that's interesting. Let me look into it. So now diving into the actual meat of today's video, what does the science say about relaxers? Why are people even suing? There are some problematic ingredients within chemical relaxers that interact with these bonds in our hair strands in a somewhat toxic way, not just for our hair, but for our bodies. And so there are these things called endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs. You may see that somewhere else. And these are things that interrupt literally our endocrine system. Our endocrine system is what, generates our hormones and regulates our hormones, which is huge because our hormones regulate so many different things in our bodies, especially as women. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs, can disrupt the regular flow of that system, which in itself is already like, whoa. One specific EDC that is found in many relaxers are what's called phthalates. And let me say, if you were to look up this word, the way that it's spelled is very annoying. I had to look up the pronunciation. Why does it have a PH in the front and it starts with just the TH? But anyway, phthalates are a group of chemicals that are used to make plastics more durable. And I'm like, what is that doing in our hair? They can also be used to help materials dissolve, and so I'm guessing that's probably why they're in relaxers. These phthalates can also be found in vinyl flooring, lubricating oils, and personal care products such as hair products, skincare products, soaps, etc. I don't know that something that makes plastic should be in our, personal care products, but that's just me. So the possible adverse or long-term effects, in addition to what I mentioned with the lawsuits that have been, raised in recent times, I'm going to just read some specific quotes that were taken from some of the studies that I was looking at. So one says, previous studies have found hair product use to be associated with a higher risk of hormone-sensitive cancers, including breast and ovarian cancers. So that actually kind of makes sense. If you are using something regularly that is disrupting your endocrine system, then it's, not outlandish to think that it can produce or be related to hormone-related diseases, right? Exposure to excess estrogen and a hormonal imbalance of estrogen and progesterone have been identified as key risk factors for uterine cancer. Again, EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals. It makes sense that if something's being used regularly and disrupting that system, then it's going to affect our body's ability to do what it's supposed to do in the area of our hormones, therefore possibly leading to disease. Salon workers, those who regularly interface with these chemicals, even though they may or may not be putting them in their hair, may experience, and some have experienced, respiratory difficulties, dermatitis, and other forms of skin irritation. Again, because these chemicals are pretty harsh. If you ever got a relaxer or ever have, heard about them, first of all, they tell you don't be scratching your hair for at least a week before, you get a relaxer so that your scalp's not irritated. You can only keep it in for a certain amount of time. And how do you know when it's time to rinse it out? Because it will start burning. If you leave it in too long, what's going to happen? You will get chemical burns. So it's not outlandish to think that, people who regularly interface with these things and don't wear gloves, especially, may have some skin irritation. And so, again, I told y'all that I would have a biased opinion about this. And my opinion is that, first of all, because I've done the natural life, I can let you know that it is wonderful on this side, okay? So I definitely recommend that everybody come to this side, not just because you can do so many different things with your hair, but because, for the reasons stated earlier, it's not worth the risk, if I'm honest. In today's world, especially where natural hair is more embraced, where there are more products available on the regular market, where there are more natural hair stylists, where people are more knowledgeable, where you even have YouTube with a bunch of wonderful, people walking you through each of their steps. I like to call it YouTube University, where you have people who can literally lead and guide you through it. It is not worth the health risks that are associated with chemically straightening our hair. Not to mention, if you do not like wearing your hair curly, there are some wonderful people who do some bomb silk presses, bomb blowouts, etc. And so that's our biased opinion over here. But either way, whatever you decide, I want to give you the information if you do decide to get off the creamy crack and go fully natural. And so my relaxer story, I grew up getting relaxers. Like, I didn't start at some ridiculous age per se. I wasn't getting relaxers at 3 years old or something crazy like that. But it was still very early. Like, I remember in elementary school going regularly to my hairdresser and getting a relaxer. I was very tender-headed, y'all. So, I definitely don't blame my mom. And I'm kind of, thinking back, I was kind of grateful because I couldn't imagine somebody else combing out my hair as in this state. Like, I don't mind combing out my own hair because I know how to fill it out. But my goodness, being tender-headed, I would have been having a fit. Either way, that's probably how I ended up with the relaxer anyway. But it was during my sophomore year of college that I decided that I no longer wanted to get relaxers anymore. There were a couple reasons, and I had not yet dove into my, health journey. So I will be honest and say my initial reasons were not necessarily health reasons. It was, it didn't really fit with my scheduling in college. I would have to go and schedule time with my aunt to go to her house and either do the relaxer myself or ask her to do it. And it was just a whole thing. And then I also had, for the first time, been around, I went to an all-women's college. And not just an all-women's college, but HBCU all-women's college. And so there were so many different women with so many different hairstyles. And so I was introduced to what it looked like to have natural hair. Actually being able to live in the dorms with them and actually see so many people with versatile hairstyles. I was like, okay, this is definitely something that I can do. And I had some good girlfriends that I knew could, give me some tips along the way. And so I was ready to dive in. I won't lie to y'all and say that I did the big chop, did not do that. But I'm not even here to go, super deep into my natural hair journey. Maybe, I'll share that on another day, but that's not what this video is about either. I just kind of wanted to share with you that I've been there. I've gotten relaxers. I have not always had, this fro going on. It's been about 7 years since I had my last relaxer, maybe more, but I think, I counted about 7, and there's no turning back, especially now that I have, the health information too. But just with the hair part, there's no turning back. Like, you can do so much with your natural hair that you can't necessarily do with a relaxer, because in my curly state, I can do curls, I can do a fro, I can do braids, I can, get a silk press and wear it straight. I can do, flexi rods and wear it curly. There's so many things I can do. So no turning back for me. And so my recommendations for doing so would be first things first, learn to love your hair in its natural form. And this is not in the way that, some people say, why you always gotta wear a weave? You clearly don't really like your hair. Or, why are you always straightening your hair? You clearly don't love your hair. Just love yourself. I'm not saying it in that way, because I believe, as someone who likes to wear my hair in all different ways, like, I, love my hair in all different forms. So I don't believe it in that way. But when I say love your hair, learn to love your hair in its form, I mean literally, like, get acquainted with your hair. Learn what your curls are like. And it may take time, after stopping having a relaxer for your curls to even come in. So just, be aware of that. But learn to love your curls. Love to actively love your hair, meaning taking care of it, washing it, on a regular regimen, or going to the stylist if you're not the person that likes to do your hair yourself. One scripture that came to mind was Psalms 139:14. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knows very well. That's one of my favorite scriptures. I love it both in the New Living Translation and the New King James Version. But essentially, it's talking about how God crafted you so perfectly. And actually, I'm going to read the other translation really quickly, because I absolutely love this translation too. It says, "Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it." And so again, going back to this tip that I have for you, loving your hair means literally growing to love, how it actually grows out of your head, loving on it, and just admiring the craftsmanship of God, of making your hair so wonderfully complex, making you so wonderfully complex. But especially if you have curly, kinky hair, your hair is definitely wonderfully complex, and you will see more and more as you grow with your hair, like so many things that it can do now that you have both curly and straight and in between options. The next thing I would say is to enjoy and embrace the journey. So again, like I kind of alluded to a second ago, if you've been getting relaxers forever, expect there to be some transition and adjustment along the way, both in what your hair is going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what your hair regimen is going to be like, what you will have to do or maybe not do anymore. There will be some transition. Don't expect it to be like, oh, I went to sleep with a relaxer and woke up with natural hair and I knew everything to do. It is a journey, but I would say embrace it and enjoy it. Don't make it a chore. Don't dread it. Like, make it fun, make it an adventure. Like, why not? If you are struggling, or even if you're just looking to start off on a good foot, you can look for some inspiration. And like I said, there are some wonderful hair pages here on YouTube that can help guide you through the process, help inspire you, help give you little tips to make it easier for yourself, or even just teach you from scratch if you know nothing about taking care of your natural hair. And I'm sure that there are videos from everywhere from I just decided to transition, now what, all the way up to, okay, I have all my curls now, how do I take care of them? And so be inspired, make it an adventure, keep it fun, and enjoy the process. The next thing I would say is to replenish your hair and your body with nutrients for good health. And so that's both topically, you know, what you wash your hair with, what you condition your hair with, whatever you're masking your hair with, whatever you're moisturizing your hair with, etc., as well as what you are putting into your body, because that affects your hair as well. And so your hair needs protein, so that definitely means eating proteins, as well as giving your hair different either protein treatments or using products that have a healthy level of protein in them to make sure that your hair is getting what it needs. One thing that I just discovered, and I can't believe, I just started doing it for myself, is using actual natural rinses and hair masks, not store-bought, although there are some natural products that I like to use from the store too. But there is someone that I followed on Instagram that uses actual fruits, vegetables, and things and mixes them up and uses them in her client's hair. And I thought that was like the best thing ever. So I just tried a couple of things. I looked up, what products are good for your hair, and I just started mixing up. My favorite thing to mix up now at home is dragon fruit, mangoes, aloe vera, and then I use a little olive oil in there so that when I blend it, it actually comes together. And then I strain it, and then boom, I have conditioner. And I've actually started using it on my face too, and it has helped clear up some random acne that I've been getting. And that's a part of making it an adventure too. Like, why not try some things and see how it works? If it doesn't work, guess what? Hair is hair. You get to, try it again the next time. And so I would also say make sure you are eating well. So this includes your fruits, your vegetables, things that foods that contain collagen and biotin. Be careful about overdosing, not overdosing, but getting more biotin than you need though, because it can, adversely affect your skin. Some people experience breakouts from higher levels of biotin. So just be careful about that. But either way, what I'm saying is get the nutrients that you need. And I also made a video about vitamins and minerals, a couple of them. And so if you missed those, go back and check out Giving Your Body What It Needs, that series, if you want a head start on figuring out what foods and vegetables you should be eating for a healthy body and healthy hair. And lastly, get into some protective styles, especially in that transitioning. If you decide that you're not going to do a big chop, meaning cutting all of your relaxer out and starting from scratch, and you want to do like me and transition out and snip as you go, then protective styles will definitely be one of your best friends, both as you're transitioning and afterwards. And so these are like braids, these are like different twist styles that you can do, and then later you can take them out. As you saw last week, I had twist in, and now you have the hair out. And different things that you can do. So looking up protective styles, and again, I'm gonna plug again that there are so many YouTube videos. I've learned so many different hairstyles on YouTube alone. So YouTube University is your friend. And so if you're not good with hair, I would also recommend finding a good natural hairstylist near you, or a good girlfriend. Don't have to be necessarily a certified hairstylist if you can't find one, or find one that's affordable near you. But if you got a good girlfriend that's good with her, hands, and will get you straight, help you wash and take care of your hair, then you are good. You're set. And lastly, I would say, do not relapse. Do not go back to the creamy crack. I know, like I said, it will be a transition. It will be an adjustment, but don't go back to the creamy crack. Leave it alone. Once you left it alone, don't go back, okay? Stick it out. I promise the journey will be worth it, okay? I can attest to it. I love my natural hair, okay? And it's possible for you, okay? So that is the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that it inspired you, if you haven't already, to make that switch to, choosing a healthier, cleaner journey, this time including your hair. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you have questions about what the transition looks like, you want to hear more about my natural journey, in detail, so that you can kind of know what to expect, or if you want to know more about what products I like to use, anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. If you enjoyed today's video, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and share with a friend, especially a good girlfriend that you know who is still getting relaxers. Let her know, y'all. Save her. Keep her away from all the health risks, and tell her that it is great on the natural side, okay? So I hope that you guys have a healthy and wholesome rest of the week, and I will see you guys back here on Faith Friday.